Greetings and welcome to this sixth installment of Arlington Whenever News. I'm calling this the nice, normal news show. It's a break from the kind of depressing tone of the previous 5 installments. Probably only temporary. I'm just waiting until the new Arlington Weekly News resumes production of fresh content. Meanwhile, at least this is something. Best I can do from my little studio up here in Hagerstown. Time to get on with the news. Our first news story was supposed to be called COVID Through March. Anybody remember COVID? Well, it's still here, albeit in diminished numbers. I was able to see some data last week, but now that website is no longer available. On Sunday, I found an online report that may explain why. It was called "The $11.4 billion federal clawback has led to layoffs and public health cuts nationwide." The federal government is withdrawing up to $425 million in grant funding for several COVID-related programs operated by the Virginia Department of Health. The cuts have already led to ongoing layoffs and the early cancellation of existing contracts across the state. The decision of President Donald Trump's administration to eliminate $11.4 billion in federal funding for COVID-related programs comes just a week after the nation marked the 5-year anniversary of the pandemic's beginning. NBC News first reported the cuts last Tuesday. According to Andrew Nixon, Communications Director for the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, quote, "The COVID-19 pandemic is over, and HHS will no longer waste billions of taxpayer dollars responding to a non-existent pandemic that Americans moved on from years ago. HHS is prioritizing funding projects that will deliver on President Trump's mandate to address our chronic disease epidemic and make America healthy again." According to a database operated by the Virginia Department of Health, approximately 820 people died of COVID-19 in Virginia last year, and at least 130 in the Commonwealth have died of the disease this year, as of March 8, 2025. The Virginia-relevant grants impacted by these new cuts had been providing funding for infectious disease testing through the state's epidemiology lab. Also, COVID-19-related child immunization and vaccines programs, as well as initiatives addressing health disparities among high-risk and underserved populations related to the pandemic. The programs were tentatively set to continue receiving federal funds for at least 1 more year. According to VDH Chief Financial Officer John Ringer, "We recognize that these cuts have broad impacts across the department." He goes on to detail next steps and a series of same-day tasks. These included the immediate pause of discretionary spending, an order to review layoff policies and prepare for a reduction in staff, a directive to compile lists of the impacted employees, contract staff, contractors, and programs by 6 p.m. Tuesday, March 25th, a separate directive to develop priorities of work and positions by 6 p.m. Tuesday, March 25th. Contractors paid by the rescinded grants should have been told by the end of business on Tuesday that they should stop all work for 2 weeks to allow, quote, "time for review of critical services and other funding opportunities," unquote. Vendors, subrecipients, and contracts funded by the grants were to be informed that they should pause work for 2 weeks or until further notice. Many state health department employees and contractors through the agency learned Wednesday that their positions were being eliminated due to the federal cuts. According to a VDH spokesperson, though the affected grants included non-expended and non-obligated funds, there will be impacts to current staffing and ongoing projects that these grants currently fund. This may explain the reason why I couldn't find any information on Sunday. Next up, a story about climate resolution. Arlington County adopted its long-awaited climate resolution on Saturday, March 15th. As Executive Director of EcoAction Arlington, Eleanor Hodges, noted, the Arlington County Climate Resolution recognizes the threat of climate change due to the planet and the need to develop effective, just, and equitable policies to combat the climate crisis. The Arlington County Climate Resolution will pave the way for whole-of-government, whole-of-community actions to accelerate Arlington's 2050 goal toward carbon neutrality, address the root causes of the crisis, and create solutions that will secure a livable future for all. Several speakers noted that implementation of the resolution is key, and citizens of Arlington will have to do their part. As board members said, quote, "If you aren't weather stripping your home or solar paneling your home, are you doing enough?" Several board members commended Jennifer Fioretti, Assistant County Manager of Climate Policy, who shepherded the resolution and put together metrics and action items. Others noted that the political landscape has shifted over the last few months. Federal support for climate change actions, which had been strong, is now likely on the wane. However, climate change won't stop just because the federal government doesn't fund. J.D. Spain, the newest member of the county board, said he was glad to see the Arlington Public Schools and community NGOs get involved, but he added, quote, environmental justice is like civil rights. I think about places like Flint, Michigan, and Cancer Alley down in Louisiana. There's a trend, and I'm not saying that's happening so much in Arlington, but in some communities where we see a lot of our underrepresented folks, there are those who are more greatly affected by failure to put in good policies. There are a lot of voices not being heard here today, and I know how much the impact of environment and climate justice affects them each and every day. Audrey Clement expressed doubts about what she called the country's greenwashing. She called into question the reduction of tree canopy over the last 2 decades, also the county's cutting of over 1,000 trees on public property, as well as the expanded housing option zoning ordinance, which was overturned in 2024 on environmental grounds. She added, the county is appealing the ruling that it violated state law in failing to study the environmental impacts of the EHO ordinance. Speaking of the environment, our next story is called Arlington Ash, and it comes from our friends at ArlNow. Ash is falling on parts of Arlington and Fairfax County due to, quote, a very large controlled burn nearby. One ArlNow reader said, we live in Ballston and a few large pieces of ash have fallen in the past couple of minutes. Fairfax County Fire and Rescue said on social media that it's due to an intentional brush fire to the south. Quantico Marine Base Corps is working on a very large controlled burn. Due to the shifting winds, surrounding areas are experiencing falling ash and smoke. If you see flames, call 911. Separately, the Arlington County Fire Department went to the scene of a significant vehicle fire in a Crystal City parking garage. The fire was on the 1300 block of Crystal Drive. Our last news story is called Pentagon City Rumble. The Arlington County Police Department is announcing petitions that have been obtained for 3 juvenile suspects following multiple reports of fights at the Fashion Center at Pentagon City on the evening of March 29th. Suspect 1, a 13-year-old female, was charged with riot and assault on police. Suspect 2, A 15-year-old female was charged with assault on police, assault and battery, injury to a person in a riot, and obstruction of justice. Suspect 3, a 14-year-old male, was charged with assault on police, riot while carrying a weapon, and trespassing. Additional information regarding the juvenile suspects is restricted from release in accordance with Virginia Code. However, this much is known. At approximately 7:06 p.m., police were dispatched to the 1100 block of South Hayes Street for the report of multiple fights inside the fashion center at Pentagon City. Upon arrival, officers observed a very large crowd in the food court and numerous fights happening simultaneously. Additional officers were requested to assist with controlling the incident and restoring public safety. As additional officers began responding to the food court, the crowd remained disorderly and fights continued to occur. At the request of the Arlington County Police Department, the mall was closed and patrons were evacuated from the property. During the response to this incident, Suspect 1 ignored officers' commands, pushed an officer, and resisted attempts to detain her. She continued to struggle but was taken into custody with the assistance of additional officers. An officer attempted to detain Suspect 2 after she assaulted a store employee. She then assaulted an officer and mall security personnel before being taken into custody. Suspect 3 assaulted an officer and resisted arrest. He was taken into custody and a knife was recovered. Minor injuries were reported by responding officers, mall security personnel, and a store employee. Suspects 1 and 2 were treated for minor injury. The fashion center at Pentagon City reopened as scheduled on Sunday, March 30th, and the Arlington County Police Department is conducting increased patrols in the area. This remains an active investigation, and anyone with information related to this incident is asked to contact the Arlington County Police Department's tip line at 703-228-4180 or email acpdtipline@arlingtonva.us. Information may also be reported anonymously through the Arlington County Crime Solvers hotline at 1-866-411-8477. I think that's enough news for now. Time for Community Bulletin Board, or CBB. Our first CBB story is Flora Foray. This is for adults. Join in to learn about common plant families on this fun nature hike. You'll visit different habitats to identify trees, flowers, and plants. All experience levels are welcome. Registration is required. That's on Thursday, April 10th from 12 noon to 1 p.m. at Glen Carlin Park, 301 South Harrison Street. The cost is $6. For more information, contact Barbara Farley at 703-228-6535. Next up, Grandma's Creek Invasive Plant Removal. Come to Grandma's Creek to improve habitat, meet fellow do-gooders, get exercise, and learn about native plants and wildlife, all while making a difference in the great outdoors. This is for adults, teens, and families with kids age 8 and up. Training will be provided, and gloves and tools are available for volunteers to use. You should dress to work outdoors, and you are encouraged to bring your own work gloves, tools, and water bottle if possible. Volunteers under age 16 must be accompanied by an adult. If you are 16 or 17 years old and plan to volunteer without a parent or guardian, you will either need to have your parent or guardian sign the registration form in person at the start of the event, or print and fill out the Group Registration Youth form at the sign-up link under Related Files. and have your parent or guardian sign it in advance. Make sure to bring it with you on the day of the event. The site leader will be Deborah Wood. The date is Saturday, April 12th from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. The location is Grandma's Creek at 413 South Pershing Drive in Arlington. CBB number 3 is a migratory birding hike. This is for families. It's a chance to meet the early migrants of the spring migration season. You'll look and listen for warblers, thrushes, and vireos, as well as year-round residents. Bring your own binoculars or borrow one of the available ones. Beginners and experts are all welcome. Once again, registration is required. However, the cost is free. That's on Monday, April 14th from 8 o'clock to 9:30 a.m. at Fort C.F. Smith Park, 2411 North 24th Street. For more information, contact Gulf Branch at 703-228-3403. Finally, in CBB, it's the W&OD Trail Spring Wildflower Bike Ride. This is for adults. They say that this is the best time of year to explore Arlington's wildflowers, and the Washington and Old Dominion Trail is a treasure trove. Join in for a leisurely 2 to 4 mile bike ride along the trail with an experienced naturalist and find those colorful trees and wildflowers in all their brilliance. Do provide your own bike and safety gear. Teens ages 14 and up are welcome to attend with a registered adult. Registration is required. That's on Tuesday, April 15th from 10:30 a.m. to 12 o'clock noon. Meet up at Glencarlin Park, 301 South Harrison Street. The cost is free. For more information, contact Rob Barnofsky at 703-228-6535. So much for CBB. Now we move along to 55 Plus. The first 55 Plus event is called Paint and Sip. It's a chance to paint along with community arts programmers Jennifer Droblian and Jim Halloran as you recreate artworks on display at area museums. You can enjoy your favorite beverage from the comfort of your home during this lesson because it's virtual participation. That's on Thursday, April 10th from 10 o'clock to 11:30 a.m. There's no cost, but 55 Plus membership is required. You can register at registration@arlingtonva.us. The second 55 Plus item is called Fortunes in the Attic. Do you own an interesting object? Do you want to find out more about it? You can send in a photo to sashton@arlingtonva.us before the program, and community arts programmer Jennifer Droblian will research it for you. During the virtual sessions, participants will learn about art pieces and similar items, as well as how to identify authentic antiques and how to rule out reproductions. That's on Friday, April 11th from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock a.m. It's another virtual event with no cost, but 55 Plus membership is required. Once again, that's at registration@arlingtonva.us. Next up, forest bathing. No, this is not skinny dipping. With every season, nature reveals another dimension. You need only to slow down and pay attention. These are walks. During these walks, you will be responding to nature and forest therapy guide Jane Stubbs's gentle invitations to relax and engage with nature. You'll walk slowly and carefully in woods and fields with plenty of time to sit and rest. The program will conclude with tea and snacks al fresco. You'll need to register separately for each meeting because there are more than one. The first meeting is Sunday, April 13th from 10 o'clock a.m. to 12 noon. Once again, there's no cost, but 55 plus membership is required. Once again, you can contact the DPR registration office at registration@arlingtonva.us. That's also where you'll get the location. Finally, it's time for a piano lounge and sing-along. Sing along with Valerie Welsh at Piano Lounge. Lyrics will be provided for a variety of songs from the golden oldies of the 1960s. The April selections will be from the mid-1960s. If you come back in May, they'll be doing the late 1960s. That's all happening on Wednesday, April 16th at Lubber Run, 300 North Park Drive. There is no cost involved, but once again, 55 membership is required. For more information and to register, contact registration@arlingtonva.us. Yes, once again, it's time for the YAWN Patrol, a look at live music in and around Arlington. We'll start off with the Renegade VA. They're at 3100 Clarendon Boulevard. They're open from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. The menu includes vegan dishes. Next up, O'Sullivan's Irish Pub at 3207 Washington Boulevard. They're open till 1 a.m. and they have live music and trivia. Next, the Galaxy Hut at 2711 Wilson Boulevard. They're open Mondays through Thursday from 5 p.m. till around midnight, and Friday and Saturday 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. They specialize in vegetarian fare, and they're a 21 plus only establishment. Also, Ragtime Restaurant at 1345 North Courthouse Road. They're open 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. Their menu favors Cajun fare. You can call them at 703-243-4003. Then we have the Roadside Grill. That's spelled RHODESID because they're near Rhodes Street. But their address is 1836 Wilson Boulevard. They're open till 2 a.m. and you can give them a call at 703-243-0145. Then we have Westover Market Beer Garden and the Bill Ringer. They are at 5863 Washington Boulevard. They close at midnight. You can give them a call at 703-536-5040. Little hard to read through these shades. And last but not least, William Jeffries Tavern at 2301 Columbia Pike, Suite 101. See, we didn't forget South Arlington. They're open 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. and you can give them a call 703-746-6333. That takes care of the YAWN Patrol for this show. Before closing, I'd like to extend an invitation to local Arlington talent. I know I can't bring them to a studio, but if they can submit video content, maybe there's a way to get them worked into future shows. Just email arlingtonweeklynews@gmail.com if you're interested. And I'm going to close the show with a little something I prepared myself. Thank you and good night.
There may have been a time, one time, when everything we knew was true. Or at least there was a story that we thought we could believe, which someone would sell to you. But now there are so many explosions of notions, it's impossible to say. And somewhere in the world it's the middle of the night, when we think it is the middle of the day. So much that we could say has already been said, or is very soon about to be. And the next big thing will have been and gone before we get a chance to see. And seers and scholars can try to explain the universal grand design, but it hasn't been about what it's really all about for a very, very, very long time. And nothing's been about what it's really all about for a very, very, very long time. There may have been a time, one time, when everything we knew was true. Or at least there was a story that we thought we could believe, which someone would sell to you. But now there are so many explosions of notions, it's impossible to say. And somewhere in the world it's the middle of the night, when we think it is the middle of the day. So much that we could say has already been said, or is very soon about to be. And the next big thing will have been and gone before we get a chance to see. And seers and scholars can try to explain the universal grand design, but it hasn't been about what it's really all about for a very, very, very long time. And nothing's been about what it's really